Jamie just released a book called Things I Should Have Said, and this really is not a good time for a book like that and for her to be going around saying things that she's saying. She's not painting Britney in a positive light at a time when Britney has just come out of captivity basically and is trying to heal. But I feel like I understand why she's doing it. I understand where she's coming from. I still don't think she's doing the right thing, but I do want to add my own insight, just what I'm picking up from their conversation that they're having about each other but not to each other. Just because the internet seems to really only be painting Jamie or characterizing Jamie in a one-dimensional way, and I don't think that family issues are ever that simple. I think that this situation is more nuanced, and hopefully my perception of it will just enhance the conversation around it. First of all, I'm Brianna. I've been talking about a variety of things lately. I don't want to just be making videos to defend people who are getting criticism. That's not what I'm here to do. I do want to expand thought and provide another perspective. So that's what I'm doing on this one. If you appreciate my conversation, please like the video and consider subscribing. First of all, Jamie needs to be honest. She really needs to be honest because she's not going to be able to fix anything this way. She is sticking to a narrative that she's a victim, and as a victim, she doesn't perceive herself to be capable of hurting Britney, but she is hurting Britney. I think that she is doing all this. She put the book out now because she's on the defense. She's in self-preservation mode. Based on some things I'll say later about how I think Jamie views herself, it is very much an affront for Britney to be naming her amongst people she feels are responsible for the conservatorship and responsible for her abuse and suffering. I can imagine that's really scary and upsetting to Jamie because I don't think she saw herself as having any agency in the situation. So she's in self-preservation mode, which I get, but doing it this way, doing everything she's doing is just not helping anybody except her pain body. It's just causing more pain, but not actually, like causing pain doesn't create healing just because you're shifting the pain from yourself. There's still pain. So I think she's got to be honest if she really wants to fix or help this situation. Like I said, I think she views herself as a victim. I think in many ways she is a victim, and she really can't see things from Britney's perspective, and she can't, or she's not taking time to think about what could she really apologize for that would help diffuse Britney's anger. Speaking of Britney, I think that there should be some consideration to where she's coming from. While I think all of her pain is valid and her suffering has been excessive, and I think her suffering is valid, I do think that there are just some conditions that we need to consider. First of all, she's just woken up. So she's come out of this hiding, being suppressed and repressed, and I think she's saying a lot of things that I don't think are unfair for her to say. She's speaking out, she's lashing out, she's asking for accountability because no one has been accountable for what they've done to her. That said, I feel like this is kind of like a reaction, like a big reaction because she finally has freedom. She's going after everybody, but I think as she gets things out, her anger may abate some, and she might be easier for Jamie to talk to at that time. Like I said, I don't think Jamie should have put the book out now. She should accept that Britney is going to have to go through her process, and Britney is the one who has been in a conservatorship for 13 years and suffering. So that should be a priority. But I think that there are some hidden dynamics between the two of them that would explain more about why they are in the positions they're in. Of course, I don't actually know anything, but I did listen to her Good Morning America interview. This is Jamie Lynn Spears, and I watched the Jamie on the Call Her Daddy podcast with Alex, I don't know her last name. I watched part 1. Part 2 came out at midnight, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. And just from what she said, I think that there is more to the story. I got some perspective. I think that right now, Britney is holding Jamie accountable because Jamie is an adult now. And I think she also in some ways feels responsible for Jamie's success and wants there to be some sort of retribution for that, because she's mentioned in her Twitter, she's like posted messages on Twitter saying that a 12-year-old has a show that never would have happened for me. Well, her laying around watching her shows on the couch. And I think she feels like that success is due to her. So Jamie owes her something and she's asking for accountability right now. I also think that Britney resents Jamie for having a comparatively easier life. I think that's pretty standard sibling rivalry or sibling animosity. So not to say that Britney's feelings are invalid, but I think that a lot of siblings have these kinds of feelings that they project onto the other kid when really it's just like their parents are responsible, or life is really responsible for what they're going through. Just if one person is in a body cast and one person has a shattered femur, you can't say that the shattered femur doesn't matter because the other person's in a full body cast. I'm sure we've all heard that analogy, and I think that that applies here. So some of the heat Jamie might be getting might not be necessarily warranted if that's the case. I have heard Britney say she was upset that Jamie performed the remixes to her songs. I couldn't for the longest time figure out what that was about. And what it was about is that Britney had not been allowed to do remixes of her own songs, and then her sister just gets to do it, doing something that she always wanted to do and that she deserved to do. And I think Britney again is projecting the frustration over that should be toward her management team onto Jamie. And it sounds like Jamie understands that, but is still not exactly sympathetic to that. Now, I think there's some things Jamie needs to acknowledge as well. I don't necessarily think Britney needs to acknowledge those things, because in the scheme of things, those are small details. The things that happened or did not happen to her are the things that didn't happen and did happen. But in this case, I think in order for Jamie to move forward with Britney, she needs to acknowledge some things. And I think she needs to acknowledge that she hasn't been a good sister to Britney. This is me speculating, but from what I can tell about their dynamic, I don't think that they ever established a healthy adult sisterhood. Jamie said that she viewed Britney as a second mom. So I feel like there was probably some trauma that happened when Britney had a breakdown. Jamie was not old enough to comprehend what was going on, but to her, she probably felt like she's lost her sister. I think that she also felt like she suffered as well, and maybe there hasn't been any acknowledgement of her suffering because she lost her sister. She was ridiculed for Britney's actions. Her pregnancy was a bigger deal because of what Britney was going through, and she was basically sent away to deal with that and wasn't able to have like a normal response. And I don't know if she would have had a normal response to it, her family, because she was a celebrity. And then I think she really believes that she was neglected because of Britney. And I think that's suffering that she doesn't feel has been acknowledged or accounted for. And I think she's kind of projected that onto Britney by withdrawing her attention and instead being more self-focused in her adulthood. I think she hasn't sought to help Britney, even though she says, if Britney needed this, then I did this. I think she hasn't really sought to help Britney because of this hidden resentment that she might not even be aware of. I also don't think that Jamie was completely aware of the conditions of the conservatorship and that it was abusive. I could believe she does not understand that, because I don't think that they had a close relationship, and I think she really believed that it was necessary given her understanding or her perception of Britney's actions back in 2007. I also don't know that I believe Britney's been crying out the whole time, because again, it seems like she just woke up. So I think in that case, it would be fair to give Jamie a bit of benefit of the doubt for not reacting, because maybe Britney hadn't represented what was happening the way that we see it now, or that a lot of people were seeing it the whole time. Because if I remember correctly, people were saying like, Britney, if you need help, wear green in your next video or something. But she was never outright confirming what she was going through. So it's not unconscionable to me that Jamie Lynn also didn't know. I think she was kind of in a strained relationship with Britney. That's my perception. Partly because she hasn't even had a conversation with Britney now after the fact. That to me says that they didn't have a relationship before the castle came down, or whatever it may be, the walls of the city came down. So I think this is what Jamie Lynn needs to do. She needs to immediately stop playing the victim, stop seeing herself as a victim. Just consider that you hurt Britney. Just like entertain that idea and see what can you take accountability for, because if you don't do that, you're never going to make things better with your sister, and you're going to continue to hurt your sister. I think she has to stop saying negative things about Britney. The public can only have one victim, and they always have to have a villain, and you're going to be it as long as you're saying negative things about the victim. So I know that you want to be liberated. Here, I'm talking to her. I know she wants to be liberated, and she wants to feel, she doesn't want people to direct hate at her, but defending herself by villainizing Britney is just not the way to do it. I think that she feels this book is an opportunity for her to stand up for her inner child. She's speaking up for herself like she feels she should have in the past, but that's the right thing to do. This is not the right opportunity to do it. I think she needs to just stop saying anything until she's reconciled with Britney, until she can appear in a Instagram post with Britney. I think she needs to just stop talking, because until Britney forgives her, the public is not going to forgive her. And then even after the public forgives her, Britney forgives her, the public is still not going to forgive her. So don't heap on things for people to judge her about. I think the overarching problem, however, which has not been adequately addressed, I feel, is that, well, before I get to that, this is a celebrity family. They have celebrity problems and trauma from being celebrities. They got the teen pregnancy, which is hard on families. Mental breakdowns hard on families, and then doing it all in the public eye is hard on families. But I think the main problem is these are daughters of an alcoholic dad and probably a codependent mother. That means that they have a lot of trauma and baggage that they have to heal from, and that also means they weren't given the tools to have healthy relationships with others or healthy relationships with each other. So I don't think they know how to do it right now, and therefore I don't think we should take everything that's happening at face value, or like, I don't think we should judge them so harshly, because there's just a lot going on, and I think a lot of it is whoever is closest to take the hit is going to take it, but really a lot of it is probably should be directed at Big Jamie, because he was the one who put the family through having an alcoholic parent. The last thing I'll say is, it sounds like, okay, in the interview on Call Her Daddy, Jamie said that Britney told her mom, if you leave dad, I'll buy you a house. I kind of wonder if any of the control he's had over Britney is spite for him, for her giving her mother a way out and taking away his vice or his punching bag or his family. You know, I wonder if any of that is a factor. I do encourage you to watch the podcast. I said watch, it's a podcast, but it was a video. I've never seen that. So I encourage you to watch it because it was actually a good interview. GMA, not good. I think Jamie was uncomfortable. I think Jamie, she does deserve some sympathy. She is still a victim in this, and people are forgetting that. People want to say she's jealous. I doubt she's jealous. That's her big sister. And they want to say that she didn't work for anything, but it's always hard when you're in a family when somebody's going through something. It's never like, there's never just one victim when it comes to mental health, addiction, or one person being abusive. Like, there's never just one victim. So I hope that we can have a little bit more sympathy, and I hope that somehow these ideas get somehow into the ether and Jamie catches them and closes her mouth and fixes things with her sister. If you have anything to add or anything to disagree with, please leave it in the comments. If you like the video, please give me a like. If you like me, please subscribe to my channel. Until next time. Brooke, stop. What do you want?